What will happen to America if Kamala Harris becomes president? The answer to that question is revealed in our explosive 88-page special report. And you can get it absolutely free from one of America's most truthful news sources, WorldNetDaily. Dozens of trusted experts come together to paint a shocking but accurate picture of what will become of the greatest nation on earth if Kamala Harris becomes president. Just call 8337-KAMALA or go to KamalaFreeReport.com and download your copy of Kamala's America immediately. That's KamalaFreeReport.com.
We're Chinese first generation. We love Trump from our bottom of the heart because we know Trump is the only one can save America. Kamala is so stupid. She is so low. IQ equal no Q, no qualification to be the president. You lost our trust. You lost our vote. You cannot do anything to save America. You are so stupid.
My mother, who raised me and my sister, was a proud woman. She was a brown woman.
She was an Indian woman.
She was a woman with a heavy accent.
That was Indian?
She was a woman who many times people would overlook her or not take her seriously.
Because she was Indian?
Because of her accent.
Because she was Indian? Why is she not saying she's Indian?
Oh boy, it is 8 days away from November 5th, the election. WorldNetDaily is on the air. It's October 28, 2024. Welcome to the program, everybody. Holy cow, blatant lies. Just the lies are coming, they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And we always know, the famous phrase about big lies have to be told in order to perpetuate their way. So, folks, yesterday, Madison Square Garden was packed. It was the rally of the century, I think, right? It was being compared to we're going to get into this. I don't want to lead off with all this stuff right here because last night was absolutely electric. You had Hulk Hogan, you had Tucker, JD, RFK, Tulsi, Kill Tony, Rudy Giuliani, Elon, Dana White, all the Trumps were there. Vivek was there. The Speaker of the House was there. And who is here today with us? Josh Turnbow and Kira Davis. What's a lineup.
What's up, Kira? Good to have you.
You are so stupid.
Kira, what is that kind of energy out there from everybody, right?
It's amazing. I watched clips from the Madison Square Garden rally, and then I watched clips from Kamala's rally where Beyonce and Kelly Rowland came out.
Oh my goodness.
The difference is stunning. I was just talking about this in my podcast, Just Listen to Yourself with Kira Davis, which is available wherever you find your audio podcast. I was just talking about this. I was saying how you can feel the electricity in the air is so the contrast is so stark. And even though they're trying to tell us that this is the joy campaign, you look at a Kamala rally, compare that to 2016, compare that to where Hillary Clinton was 8 days out from that election. Now, people were nervous. It was starting to look like Trump was having a little bit of momentum, but people still weren't taking him seriously. Regardless of all that, everyone was excited about Hillary. People were, remember on election night, they had already won. They were already celebrating. They were already having festivities. There is none of that with Kamala. Soon as people figured out that Beyonce was only going to talk for 3 minutes, and by the way, I don't know if y'all have ever listened to Beyonce actually speak. There's a reason why she doesn't do a lot of interviews. She's the Kamala Harris of the entertainment industry. She's not very intelligent. She spoke for 3 minutes and walked off. And that was a stadium, an arena, probably the biggest arena she's had so far. An arena full of Black folks. And listen to me, you do not mess with us when it comes to Bay, okay? If you are going to tell us, she damn well better be performing. She better be singing and dancing up a storm. As soon as they realized that she wasn't doing anything, that stadium emptied. People walked out. They weren't there for Kamala. Is that going to happen at a Trump rally? No. People are excited. No. There are people there who have never been to a political rally. Did you see that rally? The mixture of people, how diverse it was. It wasn't like that at the Houston rally. It was all Black folks, and they were only there to see Beyonce.
That's so true.
When she didn't sing and dance and start tap dancing, they all walked out. People were booing Kamala.
Yes, it was. Thank you, Kira. That was phenomenal. You're exactly right. The juxtaposition between the two was incredible. Look at this. Let's go to the. We have a clip of what the stadium looked like, and they also said that there were probably like 75,000 people out there. We tweeted this on X, on WorldNetDaily's X. There was it was at full capacity, 19,500 people last night, with a reported 75,000 people last night. Let's look at this clip. And that was to start the night. You know, usually sometimes, that was 6 hours before Trump was even going to take the stage. I mean, like I said, I rattled off the folks that were there. It was like the RNC packed into one without all the other fluff. You know, it was just like after. We're going to go through some of these clips tonight. It was incredible. But first, let's take a look at how Drudge. We've been lashing out at Drudge. Let's see let's look at how Drudge said this. A night of 1,000 MAGAs. Latino outrage. After smears, Tucker descends into mania. Speaker calls Harris Antichrist. Like it's incredible. And then of course over at MSNBC, they have gone full. I don't know what you would describe them.
What's
but they
the word, Matt?
I'm not going to say it out loud. Look at how they describe this. Listen to how they described the rally last night, and then look at the chyron at the bottom as well. Watch this.
But that jamboree happening right now, you see it there on your screen, in that place is particularly chilling because in 1939, more than 20,000 supporters of a different fascist leader, Adolf Hitler, packed the garden for a so-called pro-America rally, a rally where speakers voiced anti-Semitic rhetoric from a stage draped with Nazi banners. When a Jewish protester rushed the stage, the Associated Press reported, quote, instantly, a dozen or more stormtroopers set upon him, knocking him down and beating him as he held his head in his arms. Most of his clothing was torn from his body. Later, he was booked for disorderly conduct. Now, against that backdrop of history, Donald Trump, the man who has threatened to use the military against opponents he calls enemies from within, who has threatened to use the troops to quell what he says are lawless cities, and to use those troops to carry out mass deportations of immigrants, is once again turning Madison Square Garden into a staging ground for extremism.
Matt, it's not only it's racist places sometimes, right?
Yeah, sometimes. Madison Square Garden is only racist sometimes. Not July 13 through 16 of 1992 when Bill Clinton accepted the nomination for president. It wasn't racist then.
Selective places being racist. That's what it's come to now. But
I'm imagining the intern who made that connection. That's a Gen Z story. Y'all, this is what's happening in the news right now. Gen Z has now moved out of college and they're moving into the intern system. And the millennials and Gen Xers who are in the positions of influence, who are the talking heads on TV, they don't want to work anymore. So the Gen Zers do all their research. They do all the work. They do all the social media because the Gen Xers, we don't know how to do social media. Millennials can't keep up with the way it's going. Gen Z does it all. So this is a Gen Z intern find. So I'm trying to imagine the intern who was like, search, Google, Madison Square Garden, Nazis. Oh, I made this connection. I can't wait to take this to my boss. And then the talking heads going, oh, this is brilliant. No one else has made this connection. We've got to put this on. And how proud they all were of each other. And I bet after the segment aired, they all patted each other on the back and they popped champagne and they were good. We got them this time, you guys.
Yes.
You guys are doing the Lord.
They went,
this time.
They them has the best idea. They them has an amazing edit we really need to watch.
I think it was a Caesar. I think it was a Caesar. Come on. I mean, when you think about the Nazi, you think about the Caesars. I think that's where it's headed. But honestly, this is just one more. This is like the cherry on top, or the Ames Mares Bouche, or whatever you want to call it, of how much they hate you. They hate America so much they can't. And then it's like, did they even watch the rally? Did they even watch how people after people came on stage? And we're going to go through some of this stuff and just listen to them and talk to them like real people. That's the problem, right? Like, none of these are all fake people, right, Kira? These people that sit on these news programs and they live in this little. I mean, this thing happened, and for God forbid, this thing happened in Midtown Manhattan, right? This is their capital.
Yeah, no, I just was going over for this week's podcast. Right before I got on with you guys, I was recording and I played Billy Eichner's video. I don't know if you saw. Billy Eichner had a social media video. Billy Eichner is a comedian. He did Billy on the Street. He used to do that for Jimmy Fallon a lot. And most recently, you might remember him from the gay love story Bros, the movie Bros, the Judd Apatow movie, where he is a gay man and he played a gay man, and it was a gay romance comedy, but it didn't do well. And he lashed out at everybody for being homophobic, for not seeing his dumb movie. So he just put out a video on social media where he's just screeching into the camera and cussing, and Trump is an MFer, and what the F are you doing? It's time to panic. If you don't get out there and vote, we're going to lose, and Trump's going to round up everybody. These people are absolutely hysterical. And what I told my listeners, and I tell them all the time, is it sounds funny to say, but if you actually stop for a moment and just really genuinely think about the what if a guy like Billy Eichner or a lady like Whoopi Goldberg, I've got a clip of her on my show being absolutely ridiculous, or these MSNBC people, if someone handed them a magic wand tomorrow and said, you can use this to do whatever you want to the American people without consequences, you have 24 hours, don't you think that some of those people absolutely would either murder us or round us up and put us into camps? It's what they believe.
Absolutely.
If they could do so without consequences.
They used to say it when we wouldn't get the vaccine. Let's round them up. I mean,
put them in the camps.
Put them in camps, or sorry, Wheezy, whatever Jimmy Kimmel would say. Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. They would get rid of us as in a flash. I mean, it would be the rapture. I mean that's probably what it would be.
We'd be raptured to their camps, Matt.
Was president, and he was like, "Oh, I'm just restrained by this Constitution." And then I think it was might have been Mark Ruffalo. Some celebrity was like, you know what? I just wish Obama had. It was Patton Oswalt. I wish Obama could just be a dictator for like 6 months, and then he could do all the stuff that he wanted, and then people would see how good it is, and then we would be done with all of this arguing. And that's their mindset.
Yeah.
That if they could just
the quiet part out loud.
Yeah, and that's the danger here too. Is I think all this Hitler rhetoric, this Nazi rhetoric, is once again, we've been saying it for a while. It's going overboard now in a way that they're trying to coax people to say we must take out Hitler, because look at, I mean, it's the only reason why they're doing this. I can't think of any other reason why they would go on with this lie. Because they're so scared for their own existence that they need to have somebody go out there and be crazy and try and take out Trump with 8 days to go, or do something even worse to all of his supporters. Because now they're going after us. They're going after folks that are voting for him.
I wrote a story years ago. It was about an interview I saw on the History Channel about the Berlin Wall. And believe it or not, that wall does have a design. There was an architect, and they interviewed the architect. The interview was from the early 90s. He was very old. The wall had just come down, and they asked him why they built the wall. Why did you feel you had to build this wall? And this guy was very old, Russian, clearly angry about the fall of communism. And he said, we had to build the wall because we were socialists. And we knew that socialism would be good for the people, but the people kept trying to escape. They wouldn't stay. So we had to build the wall to keep the people in so they could see how great socialism was. Because socialism only works with people, but if they leave, it won't work. So we had to build the wall to keep them in so they could see how great socialism was, and then they would love it, and then they would become communists like us. I'll never forget that interview because it was so chilling. And that is exactly the attitude of the progressive left. They look at you not as individual Americans, your fellow Americans. They look at you as as a means to an end. They have to build their walls around you. It is the only way their ideas can work, to force it on you. And that's why all of their talk, for all of their fear about this wall that will never get built between America and Mexico, all of their talk is about walls, building walls around you, walls around your rights, walls around how far you can move, walls around how far you can drive, walls around the food you can eat, walls around the medical freedoms that you have. All they want to do is build walls because they think they have to build the walls so that you can see how great their ideas are.
Yeah. So it's such a great point. Okay, well then let's see what they want to keep out because this is some good stuff here. We've got Tucker Carlson. He had 10 minutes on stage last night, and this was a great moment talking about the realignment that's happening.
The other day, following Bobby Kennedy Jr. at a Donald Trump rally in Madison Square Garden. I mean, what? That's totally normal. Liz Cheney's out there with Kamala Harris. And there's Bobby Kennedy calling to protect women's sports at a Trump rally. It's a realignment. It's unbelievable. And the fact that it's here is even sweeter.
It's a realignment. It's a great way to put it. Oh, Matt, we lost Matt's audio just for a minute there. Kira, did you?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, there you go, Matt. We got you back.
I know I'm trying to figure out my audio here, but when you think about realignments in political history, like this one seems so different in the sense that like this really is a populist movement going after sort of that elite apparatus, right? It's different than just.
Well, it's so funny. I feel like this show is literally my podcast. I was
all right, good.
And I said, you guys, do you guys understand the moment in history that we're in decades down the road? People will talk about this time in history as a flip of the parties. And some people will deny it, right? Because they'll be so far away from the event that they'll be like, oh no, that's just historical rumor. It wasn't really like this. The Republicans were always the party of the working class. Democrats were always the party of the elites. No, we are watching. I always wondered how this happened. Yeah. And why there was so much controversy around parties flipping. And now we're watching it in real time. We're here for it. This is history. We are watching these parties flip. We are watching a realignment in real time. And I think the lesson that we'll take from this time is that the progressive leftists, the communists, the Marxists overplayed their hand. I think if Trump wins, that'll be the lesson that we take. The way they were doing it up until this point was working. If they had kept that plan, we would not be here. That slow, boiled the frogs over time. But 2020 hit and they were like, oh, it's here. This is it. We can do it. And they underestimated the American people. We're not there yet. Yeah. And we are seeing a realignment. And this is a very, in a lot of ways, it's an exciting time to be a part of history.
Yeah, I mean, COVID like sent it into warp speed. It was almost like that. That's what Operation Warp Speed was all about. It was to try to reset this alignment. Tucker talked about how Trump is empowering the people in this next clip here. And I think it's really important to what you just said as well. Let's watch it.
Lecture you that you are somehow immoral. And Donald Trump has empowered the rest of us through mostly just sticking around in the face of their hate and abuse and persecution. He has given the rest of us the right to call BS on the charade. No, you are not better than us. No, you are not smarter than us. No, you do not deserve what you have. You probably stole it. No, you're not going to bully me into silence anymore. And I can promise you at this point, 9 days out, when Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Elon Musk and Tulsi Gabbard and pretty much every high school senior and college shorty girl in the country has come out finally say, yeah, I am for Donald Trump, actually. When the entire country has realized there is nothing embarrassing about this. What's embarrassing is to take a perfectly great country and destroy it, as they have. I'm not ashamed. You should be. At that moment, it's going to be pretty tough for them 10 days from now to look in the eye to America with a straight face. It's going to be pretty hard to look at us and say, you know what? Kamala Harris, she got 85 million votes because she's just so impressive. As the first Samoan, Malaysian, low IQ, former California prosecutor ever to be elected president, it was just a groundswell of popular support. And anyone who thinks otherwise is just a freak or a criminal. At this stage of the game, after 9 years of listening to their lies and finding every single one of them totally false, no, it's not safe and effective, and no, she's not impressive. It's very hard for me to believe the rest of us are going to say, you know what, Joe Scarborough, you're right. You're right. She won fair and square because she's just so impressive.
85 million votes. You guys ready for that? You ready for that?
He does seem to be hinting at, the unknown call of who's going to win. The media will dig in their heels and just say, like, we just can't say. We just can't say who won. We know that's going to happen.
I don't know.
You don't think so, Kira?
Again, there's so much up in the air here because obviously that's what happened in 2020 and that's their MO. But despite what we saw of that earlier MSNBC clip, those are really clips railing against Trump. But there is also a sense, I don't know if you guys sense it, but in the corporate media, there is a sense of disappointment in Kamala, and people are kind of like, let's just get this over with.
Yeah.
At this point. So I don't know. I think there might be a sense of, look, let's just get it over with and call it and start blaming the Democrats so we can, break this down. And I'm not sure what we'll see. It will not be the same type of glorious meltdown that we saw in 2016, which I still go back and watch when I'm feeling sad and alone at night. Return. And it's not going to be like that. I think it's more of a maudlin sense for them going into this election. So I don't know.
That's the thing. We don't know.
There's too much we don't know, and that's what's up in the air for everybody. And that's why there is this this sense of, I don't want to make a declaration. A lot of us were like, yeah, Trump's going to run away in 2020. Obviously, we're not electing the vegetable in his base, and then
right.
What happened. So we're all a little gun shy from that, obviously. But I think this is another reason why when you see a Trump rally and you see people so excited and passionate and just a diverse representation of the American spectrum, what you're seeing is people who are like, oh, this feels like something to know, right? This feels like something I can hold on to as real. When Kamala talks, it's not real. She's not saying anything. I want the opportunity economy. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
That's what she's saying. Nothing feels real when you listen to her. When you listen to Trump, it feels real. This is something I can hang on to. And that's what people want. So this is why let me take the church. This is why I'm a Christian. This is what I tell my kids. You need something that never changes. When you have things that can change and are fluid, like that's a recipe for chaos. Yeah. That's a recipe for internal chaos. You must have something that never changes. And while, of course, Trump is not God, obviously there is this sense that, like, he says what he means, and we're desperate for that.
Yes, and he hasn't changed. And we also are not electing Kill Tony, right? We're not electing Kill Tony to the presidency. And he's the one that's kind of drawn a lot of the ire, there was all this racist rhetoric and everything. And it turns out it was just a comedian up there warming up the crowd. Somebody who is known as being the ultimate roast king. I think Jeffrey Ross is another one that kind of found this Tony guy and sent him. And he's written roasts for people. He was a big figure at the Tom Brady roast. I mean, all this guy does is make fun of other people. And there he was on stage in Madison Square Garden making fun of people. I posted on X today a clip of the famous Don Rickles doing the same thing with Whoopi Goldberg defending Don Rickles and all of his stuff. So none of this is new.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg used to be friends with Donald Trump. Screw all these people.
That's
all
true.
Yeah,
these
they did.
people love Donald Trump. You're all at his parties. You were all eating his food. You were all taking his donations.
Eating his food. That's so true. But let's watch Kill Tony. Let's watch one of his more milder comments here. Let's watch this.
The other side's got a lot of crazy endorsements. Swift, Eminem, Leo DiCaprio, Beyonce. Every day the Democratic Party looks more and more like a P. Diddy party. Oh, okay. Okay, that's what you guys want. All right, heck yeah.
And this goes right to the younger generation. Like I'm really not familiar with Kill Tony. I had to ask somebody on X this morning. I was like, "Wait, was that Tony guy this Kill Tony guy?" And they were like, "Yes, it is." I was like, "Well, game over, right?" I mean, is that what it is,
Yeah,
Josh? You think
Matt,
that he's really going? This is the younger vote here.
So Tony Hinchcliffe is, he's what I didn't know. I didn't know officially that he was a Trump fan, and I guarantee that like Trump going on Rogan may have helped, because he's really good friends with Rogan, get Tony on the at the big event. The thing is, we have a weird thing. We have it literally here at WorldNetDaily, and that is there's generations coming together, but they don't always fit together like puzzle pieces. And that was kind of represented at the Trump rally, because Tony's really funny, but not everyone thought it was funny. Some people thought it was offensive, and these are good folks. I'll give you an example. This is our a comment we just got from Don, the comedian who thought it was funny to make fun of Latinos in Puerto Rico had no business at this rally. Shame on him and whoever invited him to represent Donald Trump. So what this is, Don, is they're taking a shot. They're like, let's make it an entertaining event and have Tony come on. I guarantee you they asked Tony to tone it down, because this is a very toned down version of Tony Hinchcliffe. But the thing is we're trying to return back to the time of not taking everything so offensively. He made this, like, I thought funny, but easily offensive joke about Puerto Rico being, he said there's like this floating island of garbage in the Atlantic. We call it Puerto Rico. Right. Now, obviously that is a joke, because there's a lot of Puerto Ricans in New York, especially. But I think that, like some of the brainwashing, and I apologize if you consider yourself one of these people, or I'm alluding to that, some of the brainwashing has stuck over the years. And we've all been sensitive to, like, oh, I shouldn't laugh at some of this stuff, but it wasn't always the case. And like you mentioned in the Rickles clip, which we don't actually have here, but this used to be acceptable to make fun of everyone and equally, and that was called comedy.
Yeah. Don Rickles was invited by Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan for a big gala where he came on stage and ripped everybody once again in front of the president, in front of everybody. I mean, little Webster handed him the microphone. Yeah. And Don Rickles said something like, that's like the first black kid that's never going to play basketball. Like it was like he was just on fire all the time, right there, right in front of the president. So again, this whole notion, and Kira, I want you to speak to this too, because
Matt, I just have one more thing I want to throw out before we throw to Kira. Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt. Guys, this is a tough thing to understand. It's called framing. Okay. So like we are so set into the cultural frame of not being offensive because everything's offensive. And so many of us will like fall over ourselves to prove that we're not racist. But that's called a frame. We're trapped in a frame that someone else put us in. And the way to get out of that is just to reject that it exists in the first place and say, no, like we can laugh at jokes and don't be offended for someone that you're not. And do you believe that Puerto Rico is a floating island of garbage? If you don't, then don't be offended. It's a joke. And that's kind of the whole point.
Garbage.
Kira.
I mean, listen, my husband just got back from Puerto Rico. His office, the industry he works in, they have a branch in Puerto Rico, which they opened 2 years ago. So my husband is there every other month
Yeah.
for a week at a time. He just went to close their Puerto Rico office. Puerto Rico is a floating island of garbage. From aid to that place, a lot of hell during when he was trying to send them aid, and their dumb governor was like trapping it in warehouses. Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why the joke was written.
Okay, the other thing you can do to a frame, like Kira perfectly did, is you can mock it relentlessly until someone says, "Okay, fine." Oh, that's good.
Oh man. Okay, let's get back on track here. Oh, go ahead, Kira. No, please speak to it.
Yeah, there's your leadership. It doesn't have to be. It's your leadership. Puerto Rico is a beautiful place. Puerto Ricans are beautiful people. Puerto Rico is a floating island of garbage. There's a reason why it's not a state.
But Kira, speak to our culture though, like kind of what Josh was saying. Like we're at that place where like we brainwash ourselves to even just like stay in this box, in this frame that they put us in.
I love that. I'm stealing it, and I'm not going to credit him for it. But while he was speaking about this, first thing that came to my mind, being the parent of Gen Zers is like, it's been revelatory. It's been very useful in this journey, because Josh is right. Like there are these disconnects in generations where we are like puzzle pieces that don't quite fit together. So I love having this inside view. So one day I go to pick up my daughter at school. This is before she had her license. Now she drives everywhere. She doesn't need me. But I pick up my daughter and her friend at school for carpool. They get in the car. They're watching South Park clips. They have never seen South Park. They had never discovered South Park. They had never heard of South Park. I don't obviously allow my kids to watch South Park for lots of reasons, even though it's a great show. So they've never seen it. They're watching the clips when they get in. They came up in their TikTok algorithm. So we put it on the speaker. I'm like, oh, you guys found South Park. My daughter tries to hide it real quick. I'm like, no. Let's put this on. Let's see what they're talking about. I don't even remember what they were talking about, but we just let the algorithm run, and they were dying. And my daughter started watching South Park on her own because she's not allowed to watch it with me. Watch South Park. Those kids love South Park. Those kids love Friends. Those kids love Seinfeld. My daughter is currently watching Gossip Girl. Do you know that there's actually a reboot of Gossip Girl on HBO Max right now? A reboot. She's not watching the reboot of Gossip Girls, which is 5 trans people, and 3 gay girls. She's watching the early 2000s Gossip Girls. Now, all this to say this. Yes, that comedian on there was absolutely a dog whistle for Gen Z. They are starving for some authentic comedy. They are starving for people to make fun of each other. When I listen to my son talk to his normal friends, not his weirdo college group, but his normal friends, they're making fun of each other. They're calling each other gay. These kids are starving for this. So while even some of the naysayers on our side are looking at that comedian and going, that's not appropriate for a political rally, probably wasn't appropriate for a political rally. I got news for you. This wasn't a political rally. This is an American rally.
That's right.
To remind especially young people of what they're missing out on, the joy they can experience if these weirdo progressives would just get off their frigging necks. Yes. The joy they could experience. That's who that rally was for. I think it's 100% effective, and the scolds at National Review need to calm down.
Yeah, that is absolutely right. It goes right into the realignment. Even the folks that are on our side that are going, oh, there's no place for any of this. This is not about politics. This is, I mean, who stuck out like a sore thumb last night? It's the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. It was like he walked into the room and was like, oh, I'm just, and he did his thing. And it was so bizarre. It was the weirdest thing you've ever seen. Whereas 25 years ago, it was weird to see Don Rickles on stage at it's just like, it's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. It's what's normal now is, who else was starving for this movement? Apparently, Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, the most innovative, creative mind that we have right now. Here's a clip of him and his ultra mega dark, whatever you want to call it, energy that was flowing through him. Watch this.
All right. As you can see, I'm not just MAGA. I'm dark, gothic MAGA. Well, the energy in this room is incredible. What a great group of people.
I mean, look at that, right? That is the energy. That is the energy that he has been looking for. I mean, that was a primal scream.
How can this guy lose?
He's like our autist brilliant wizard.
I want you to think about that, what you just saw even just now. And I want you to picture the other celebrity that we saw this week, Beyonce, who is maybe her and Taylor Swift, maybe the two biggest celebrities in the world right now. Beyonce on that stage, the reaction she got when she came out, which, by the way, it wasn't even like that. It wasn't even that big when Beyonce came out.
No.
The reaction she got, and then the reaction when she left. The difference is stark. That the crowd left when Beyonce left. They weren't even that excited when she came out, probably because she didn't have her dancing shoes on. She didn't look like she was going to be dancing in that outfit. So they knew right away when she came out that they were going to be disappointed. But that is the difference here. And that's what's making the left so mad. That's why they're out there screaming Hitler, Nazi. I've never seen anything like this, not even in 2016. It's like in 2016 we were excited, but there was this we don't know how Trump's going to be. Will he, won't he? Who will he be? But this type of excitement seems to be fueled not only by Trump himself, but also this huge sense of regret that we really let the mainstream media do a number on us in 2020, and it's time to get back to right. I have always said since 2020, if everything feels chaotic to you, if everything feels like it's upside down, it's because it is. Because I truly believe we're in the wrong timeline. This is not the timeline we were supposed to be in, and that's why it feels crazy. Because something happened that shouldn't have happened. We were never meant to have Joe Biden as our president, and the American psyche always sensed that. And that's why we were always unrestful, no matter what was going on. So I think Americans are really excited for the chance that some type of peace again, believe it or not.
Yeah, Kira, I think you that touched me what you just said right there, because I have been, in my family life and personal life, there's just been this uneasiness since January 21st when he took that oath of office in January 20th, 2021, when Joe Biden became president. I thought, how do we get out of this? And the only way out of it is going to happen 8 days from now. And we had to wait that long. Josh, do you feel the same thing?
I was thinking, Matt, when you were saying that, it didn't feel like America to us. Like it didn't feel like America to me. It felt like a different thing that's been itchy and uncomfortable this whole time. And maybe that's why the energy's so high with Donald Trump and everyone else, because everyone feels the potential to come roaring back.
Yeah.
And from this malaise, like everything kind of sucks. We're still free for the most part, but censorship, inflation, general outlook kind of blows, and then I think that's everyone's feeling like it could be different.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that can get you out of this, like I just said, is 8 days from now. You have to vote. You can vote this week. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of states that have early voting happening right now.
Listen.
Do it. Vote. You got to vote. The only way the polls work is if everybody turns out and votes. Right, Akira?
You guys might be interested to know this. Here in California, already 1 million Republican ballots have been returned. That's unheard of. We do not vote early. Republicans don't vote early in California. In 2022, the official GOP position was get there early so we can have all the exit returns. It's good for polling data and stuff. And people were like, hell no, they stole 2020. I'm not doing it. We could not get California Republicans to get to that ballot box. 1 million early returns so far.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And that, again,
That's
is
great.
another push for Trump going for the popular vote. He's not going to win California.
I don't know.
Well, we could debate that another time, but what he's absolutely, but what he's
Why you spend your money and time in Coachella a week?
Because he wants the popular vote nationwide. You know, if you can turn out, that's why he's in Madison Square Garden. You know, if he can just get a few more million votes in these blue areas to come out because they're just excited. You know, they're just excited. They're like, I mean, I would say to all my California friends and all my New York friends or folks in other red and even in red states. I mean, all if you're excited to vote for Donald Trump, you have an opportunity to push him over the edge and win the popular vote. You want 85 million going to him? He can get it. He can get 100 million if everybody showed up and voted. So yeah, vote early, do it now. And yeah, let's win California. I'd love to see that. Somebody predicted that there's going to be a blue state that goes red.
So great.
Wouldn't it be great? And it could be California. It could be one of the later ones like Colorado or Oregon.
Imagine the media meltdown if California or New York flipped. Like, I would give myself time.
Yeah. Well, it only happens if you vote. You got to vote, people. Don't sit back. Don't think that last night was the crowning achievement, right? That is the opening salvo of the big finale, right? You got to go hard this final week. And this is why the New York Times is absolutely bananas. Look at this. Look at what they published, the New York Times. Look at this. You want to talk about spreading a lie big enough? I mean, if you tell a lie big enough and long enough, people will believe it. And this is what they're trying to do. He says he will prosecute his enemies, order mass deportations, use soldiers against citizens, abandon allies, play politics with disasters. Believe him. I mean, some of that is like, you don't have to sell me on it. But at the same time, like I've already voted for him. But at the same time, this is a huge, huge fear tactic, right?
But also, Matt, like it is line by line. Can you put that back up, guys? It is line by line projection, right? Like, I don't think there's like a fair enough term to say like what you are accusing me, you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't have a strong enough way to describe that. You could say it's hypocritical, but it's literally he's going to prosecute his enemies. Trump is waiting to be sentenced after the election.
Right. Steve Bannon is being released from jail today or tomorrow.
Oh.
Yep. And Peter Navarro was put in jail for months. So they have literally done that. He's going to use soldiers against citizens. That DOD directive that we just talked about last week is a legal document saying it's okay for the power to use the DOD to use soldiers against citizens in the assistance of law enforcement. So pure projection. Abandon his allies. Like, I don't even know what that one is. He's the guy that's so strong. We didn't have any wars. And that's, he was defending our allies. The strongest defense he did was launch Tomahawk missiles into Syria. And that was, and that's the one scenario where the left praised him. And then, I mean, believe him. That's the best part. Believe him. I actually agree with that one.
I mean, that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping that what he said last night on that stage, I've listened to a lot of Donald Trump speeches. Of course, he's going to have to repeat a lot of the same stuff, but you could tell that he was like, he was moved by the moment of being in Madison Square Garden in his hometown. I mean, he built that city. He contributed so much to that city. Rudy Giuliani was there. He worked with Rudy Giuliani. Say what you want about what's going on with Rudy, but I think him having that moment with his family a mile and a half away from Trump Tower was a big moment that was not lost on him, and everybody else outside of Kill Tony was hitting it on the head in terms of the optimism that we can foresee in the next 4 years if you all get out and vote. That's what I got to say there. Let's do this. We have what the Democrats are preparing on how to survive. Let's close with this, because I think this guy is trying to signal to everybody, here's what we need to do, folks. So let's watch this clip, and I want to get your take.
All right, worst case scenario, Trump gets reelected. Here is the game plan if that happens. The general rule of thumb from now on is, will the MAGA heads use it to attack someone? If so, keep your mouth shut. You no longer know that any of your trans friends are trans. You no longer know that any of your non-Christian friends are non-Christian. You no longer know that any of your friends, family, or neighbors are left-leaning at all. Anyone that you don't know tries to talk about politics around you, you shut that shit down immediately, because that is fishing for information and people they can report. Anyone tries to instigate a protest or a riot, they are also fishing for people that they can report. Anyone you know who is an immigrant, you are now going to tell anyone who asks that they have been living in America their whole lives. Because if you are not among the people who need to flee for their own safety, you are part of the people who are helping them flee. You do not brag about the people you have helped. You do not tell others about the people you have helped. You keep your mouth shut about all of it on every single possible forum. Anyone asks you about politics, you reply, who has time to talk about politics? And nothing else. Someone asks you your opinion on global warming. You say, I don't talk about politics. Someone asks your opinion on wages and unionization. You say, I don't talk about politics. Someone asks about your opinion on the basic rights of other people. You say, I don't talk about politics. It's gonna hurt, but that's what's gonna help you and others survive. These are the basic ground rules for surviving a fascist government, which is 100% what Donald Trump has said on camera.
Kira, I don't know about you, but I've worked in Hollywood for many, many years. Josh, same way. I mean, that's kind of like what our life has been for the past 20 years, right?
Okay,
Absolutely.
Again, we've been talking about projection.
Yeah.
This week is all about projection. Now, the left is, so this is all projection, right? This is how we are. My daughter, we're filling out college applications. She wants to go to California state school. They asked her what religion she was. I told her not to mark Christian. That's where we're at. I told her, don't mark Christian, just leave it blank. Because that's how we live. That's how we have to live.
Wow.
My first thought when I was listening to this guy is, I find your terms acceptable. You would never talk about politics. That would be so great. If I never had to hear another word from your mouth about trans people, fabulous. If your answer to the question about global warming was, I don't talk about politics, oh my God.
I know. Thank God.
Accomplished. Where is this guy? Let's partner with him. Let's work with him. Let's make sure that this agenda gets carried out. If you guys would stop talking about politics, I would be thrilled.
Yeah, this guy needs to be head of CNN, MSNBC.
Again, this is I read a tweet. My good friend Bridget Fantasy put this tweet the other day. She said, one woman said, if Donald Trump wins, this is going to be the Handmaid's Tale, that favorite. This will be a Handmaid's Tale where wives hold down their sex slaves while their husbands rape them. And I told Bridget, I am no longer convinced that this is their fear. I think these are their fantasies. This is not that them saying this is what you have to do. No, that's their fantasy. That is the America. It's the America they wish they could run, right? They wish that they could do that to you. But if they can't have that, they do wish to be the persecuted.
Yeah, well,
E.
Jean Carroll said rape is sexy, right? Rape is sexy. She told Anderson Cooper.
They're telling on themselves. That's all they've been doing this whole time, everybody. Just telling on themselves. They're just telling on themselves at this point. Ignore it all. It's white noise. Get to the ballot box. It's the only thing that matters at this point.
That's right. And Kira Davis, you have exuded this meme that we want to share because your energy here is 2024 right here.
Guys, I've never owned a piece of political gear. I have a MAGA hat and a MAGA shirt, and I wear them. I wore them out in Chicago when I was in Chicago with my son. Wearing this.
That's brave.
We went out to brunch. Guess what happened? High fives.
High fives. Yep.
People honking at me from the streets of downtown Chicago. Do you people understand? I don't think y'all understand what is happening out there. I didn't get dirty looks. I didn't get,
America's ready.
My son is, a 6'5" black man with dreadlocks. Like maybe some comfortable coming up to me when I'm with him. But I did get people, and by the way, I didn't even see any white people. It was all Latinos and Black people that were high-fiving me. So that's the energy I see out there, everybody. And at this point, I don't think what you're seeing on the news, on MSNBC, whatever, they can trot Beyonce out there. Minds are not being changed in the last 8 days. So it's fun for us to talk about this stuff on here because that's what we do. But as far as the needle moving, the only thing at this point that's going to move that needle is if you get to that ballot box, you make sure your ballot is there. And the only thing we can guarantee for sure is that the vote you don't cast is the one that won't get counted.
Amen. That's right. All right, Kira, tell everybody where we can follow you, about your podcast, your books, everything, because you are everybody's got to follow Kira Davis if you don't already.
You can follow me on Twitter, X, at Real Kira Davis. That's the best place because in my bio is all links to everywhere else. You can find all my other stuff. I have a book called Drawing Lines, Why Conservatives Must Begin to Battle Fiercely in the Arena of Ideas. I think that book, we're in like the middle of that book right now. So I've got great ideas for you to help right where you are. And it doesn't mean you got to run for office. So go find that book. And I think where you'll get the most, though, is my podcast. Go look that up. Just Listen to Yourself. It's an audio podcast, and it's available on every audio podcast platform for free. And I also have a Substack as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Kira Davis. Perfect. Yeah, Josh, send everybody home here where we got to follow. Make sure they're sharing our content.
Yeah, guys, we talked about being in the frame, in the media left creation, a psychological frame. You don't want to do that. And one way to get out of that frame is to understand what the guidelines of that frame are, what the guardrails are. And you can always do that by finding real news, truthful news. And we have that over at WorldNetDaily. You can follow us on X. We're over on Instagram. We're also on, well, we're basically on every platform. I think we're even on Getter for those getters out there.
Oh, yeah.
Good on you for being on there. And still, of course, YouTube's going to censor us. We're on Facebook, also doing a great job of throttling us. But my favorite new platform is Rumble. And if you're watching us on Rumble here, please give us a thumbs up and a like. Rumble's awesome. You can go live on Rumble. It's got all the same functionality as YouTube. And we want to get everybody over there as much as we can. And that's what we're trying to grow the most, because it's kind of a joke, actually, like how bad YouTube is and striking us every time. And of course, we'd love you to follow us, the hosts, True Matt Edwards over on his X account. We're going to throw that up there. There it is. True Matt Edwards is doing great work nationally and on the state level. Matt is defending Idaho aggressively, which we love. And you can follow me at Josh_Turnbow. Going to see some stuff over there that's a little fringy, but I'm talking about the Illuminati, and I'm about to get into UFOs, but all that stuff, it's all over there.
Oh, boy.
We'd appreciate that. And of course, stay with us because we're going to have an amazing election night show. And I think we're going to have a following day after election show as well at this rate. And I think we're trying to get Kira to come on with us.
Yeah, Kira. Yeah, Kira's got to come by, say hi during election time.
I know. I was asked. I have a couple of tentative offers open that I'm still here for. I don't know yet. Maybe
there's a better option for Kira. Well, we're hoping there won't be.
Well, it'll be a busy night. We'll be on. We'll be on all night. We'll be on the day after.
No, my husband, sweet summer child that he is, was like, so. We'll pretty much know who won by midnight, right?
Yeah,
oh,
right.
Sweet guy.
No chance.
He's looking for bedtime.
Well, in 2016, he went to bed thinking that he was going to wake up to Hillary Clinton as president. And when he woke up, and I was like, I'm not quite sure, but I think it's Donald Trump.
That's one of the things we got a lot of. We're going to have a lot of time to fill that night because we're not going to know for a while. So please come back with your 2016 stories. I got one. I know you all got yours. We want to get those up in the comments too. But thank you so much for watching, folks. This is going to be a great week. This is the final week. Get out and early vote. Come back here on Wednesday to check in on the latest headlines and all that stuff. And pray. That's right, Kira. Pray. All right, folks. We'll see you next time. God bless. Thank you all.